Nirya mulled that over for a moment before speaking again. None of the humans' behavior made sense. What possible reason could a predator species have for wanting to help her? No, she didn't trust him, and she would not be used by this predator as their pawn in the council. Is that all this had been? An elaborate ruse to gain her trust so they could reinstall her as their puppet? She needed to find out more. You knew that this was the reaction that you would receive. Why help? Why expose yourself like this? Nirya, you're the closest thing Nesh and I have as an ally on the council. If you're found guilty and the Dreeden and Terrans are implicated, it would turn the entire council against us, who I have no doubt go to war against our people. No, that's not what I was getting at, Ambassador. Obviously, it's in your best interest at the moment to clear your people's name, along with mine. The real question is. She leaned down over the Terran ambassador. Why try to help the League at all? Why try to warn us of the ration? Why sacrifice your ships and crews to help my fleet escape? The warning at the Council of War, your fleet's intervention, the sacrifice of the Rochambeau, that was all part of your trick, wasn't it, human? Nirya saw Wood's face darken and his teeth clench. Now, she was getting somewhere. I had friends on the Rochambeau, Nirya. Wood started to say, a tone of warning in his voice. Captain Geppard was. What do you care, Predator? How can you claim to care for the lives of others when your very existence is based on killing? No one in the League, save the Dreeden, had any idea about your true nature. As far as I can tell, Terran territory is so far removed from League space that you could have gone another 100 years without having significant contact with League species. Yet here you sit in the center of League space. You could have let the League battle fleet be destroyed by the ration and then swept through defenseless League systems, butchering as you went. But instead, you tried to gain my trust. So you can rip us apart from the inside. Nirya stood on her back hooves, rearing over the table, hackle spines fully extended. Is that all you see when you look at us, Nirya? The ambassador stood up and fixed her with his gaze. A predator. A carnivore ready to tear the throats out of any race but our own. He leaped on the table, advancing on Nirya, who still reared above him. The two Dreeden security guards posted at the door looked nervously at each other. Nirya would not let herself be intimidated this time. Isn't that what you are? You evolved to kill. How do I know that that's not all you are? How do I know that I'm not casting my lot with a species that will turn on me the first chance it gets? How do I know that you're not just like the ration, Ambassador Woods? Nirya thundered. Just another race of monsters. Nirya could tell she was close to the truth now as Baden's face contorted in anger. You're right, Nirya. Baden growled, slowly walking down the length of the table toward the towering hexapod. We are monsters. We are bloodthirsty and savage, and we have a capacity for evil that is so dark that we can't even bear to look at it. Flecks of saliva flew from his mouth as he bit every word off. We're not only predators, but we're the worst kind of predators. Look at my hands, my mouth, my limbs. We are weak. No claws, no fangs, no horns. No natural weapons of any kind, except for this. He pointed to his head. Nirya found herself edging backwards as the Terran ambassador advanced on her. But her back soon ran into the wall, trapping her there as this nightmare creature stalked toward her. She thought that the ration were the most terrifying creatures imaginable, but she now knew she was wrong. An angry human was much worse. Our brains are what make us the most dangerous predator we've ever encountered, Nirya. Baden continued. Where other species were born into that role, we weren't. We lacked teeth, so we sharpened rocks into knives. We lacked claws, so we fashioned spears. We lacked strength, so we used cunning. And when all of that failed, his voice grew soft but no less menacing. We simply chased our prey for hours, running it down until it could run no more. Humans weren't always a predator, Nirya. We chose to become one. Baden was now within a few centimeters from her. She could feel his breath on her carapace, and his forward-facing eyes seemed to fix her in place, like an insect on a pin. The interesting thing is," he continued, his voice growing even softer, "that while these things are a part of us, part of our nature, when you ask us what makes us human, it's not the answer you'll receive." The malice began to leave Baden's voice. "Instead, what they'll tell you is that despite our capacity for savagery, we are at our best when we are kind. That despite our bloodthirstiness, we admire mercy more. That while we are very, very good at war, we desire peace." Baden's shoulders slumped, and for the first time since he leapt on table, his eyes left Nurya's. "We are a conflicted people, Nurya, and you are right to be wary of us. Why warn you about the ration? Why save your fleet? Part of it is pragmatic. We don't think the ration will stop with the League, and it's only a matter of time until they turn their eyes to us as well. We believe that if we're going to stand against them, that we need each other. But there is more to it than that." Baden looked down at his hands. "Throughout our history, we humans have done terrible, unspeakable things to each other. It has taken a long time for us to recognize the thing that is most precious to us is not a successful hunt, or victory in battle, or territory, but life itself. And our morality doesn't distinguish if that life is human, or Dreeden, Bonthan, or otherwise. I think you knew that though, when the crew of the Rochambeau gave their lives for yours. So, when you ask us why we want to fight with you against the ration, why we have stepped into the light now, it's because in a way, we're fighting to save the best version of ourselves. You could say it's in our nature." Baden reached out his hand to Nurya. "Will you help us?" Nurya looked down at the human, the tiny, horrifying, vulnerable human, who gazed back up at her with his brown, predatory eyes. This time she did not recoil from his gaze, however. She didn't understand human facial expressions very well, but there was something universal in how he looked up at her. And behind the eyes of a predator, she saw something more: steel and softness, weariness and regret, hope and defiance. She reached down a grasping hoof to take his hand. "It would be an honor, human." Nash raced through the corridors of the Dreeden embassy, his security detail sprinting to keep up. Breathless, he burst through the doors to the conference room, where he had left Baden and Nurya, barely noticing his security guards at the door, who nearly tackled him before recognizing who he was. "My team got through to the courier ship," he gasped, throwing his holopad on the conference room table and kicking a chair out of the way so he could stand in front of the holopad. "They sent an encoded data packet to my holopad, and what they found isn't good. Mocktop physically destroyed all of the courier's memory cores, so we can't recover any of the original battle recording, or any record of it being manipulated." The author's name and the link to original text is in the description. Consider tapping the thumbs up and pressing the subscribe button if you enjoyed this video.